Hello again, everyone. I hope you've had a great time throughout your water harvest team adventure. Daryl and I are back with all of you once again to provide you a tour of West Basin's signature Edward C. Little water recycling facility. West Basin is an international leader in recycled water. We produced over 35 million gallons of drought-proof water every single day for commercial and industrial needs. Here, our motto is every drop of recycled water made is a drop of drinking water saved. So before I hand it off to Daryl, let's do a quick review of what we already know through this model once again. So we learned the importance of measuring snowpack with the Department of Water Resources. We learned more about watersheds and how water is stored with the Metropolitan Water District. We use that water in our homes, and then all of that sewer water or wastewater gets treated by the LA County Sanitation Districts at a wastewater treatment plant before discharging it out into the ocean. West Basin prevents some treated wastewater from going out into the ocean by diverting over 35 million gallons of that water each day and sending it for further treatment at our facility. Once treated, we have a drought-proof resource that can be used to keep grasses and fields green all year round. So this is what the water looks like when we get it at our facility. It looks pretty clean, but if I bring it up closer and shine a flashlight on it, you should be able to see what we call suspended particles or suspended solids. Those things are pretty tough to remove, so we need to add chemicals to it. The first chemical that we add is this. This is called synthetic polymer or glue. And the second chemical that we add is this. This is a ferric chloride. So basically, what these two chemicals do is create a chemical reaction that's creating larger particles called floc, F-L-O-C. So those larger particles are bigger and heavier, and they sink down to the bottom. So this is what that jar of floc looks like. Again, that's what this floc looks like. It sinks down to the bottom. We can settle it out of solution and send it for further treatment, and we can collect the cleaner water off top for filtration. So when Daryl shows you in just a few moments, it will look like this. Again, this brown color is from that ferric chloride or liquid iron that we added. So before I head off to Daryl to our facility, I want to give you all a reminder to keep sending us your questions in the chat box. I see lots of questions have already come in, and we're so excited to answer them later on in our session. So with that, let's hand it off over to Daryl, who is at our water recycling facility.
Thanks, Janelle. And actually, both of us are at our water recycling facility here in beautiful El Segundo. Janelle is downstairs inside our water education center, and I'm upstairs 2 levels on top of our pre-treatment high rate clarifier. That's a big word. Hey, and I know some of you have been on our tour before, both virtually, and maybe your parents have been here on a live tour. In the chat box, you can actually, I challenge you, do you remember some of the water treatment steps? Put in the chat box and let's see if you remember and correct. First stage of the water treatment process is we have to get the incoming treated sewage water, and that's coming to our factory down at ground level. See that giant green pipe? That's bringing up 35 to 40 million gallons a day of treated sewage water, and those 2 chemicals that Janelle was talking about are injected into the incoming treated sewage water through that skinny yellow pipe. And then all that water and all the chemicals come into this big unit I'm standing on right now. So come, let's walk with me along the walkway, because I'm on top of this unit, like basically on its roof. And the first step of the treatment process is to mix all the chemicals with the incoming treated sewage water. So this is the mixing area right up here. This is the motor to the mixer. Hey, and Janelle, let me know if I need to put down my face shield because the wind is picking up. See the windsock blowing. The motor to the mixer is basically turning a big pole that is extending down into the water of this unit. It's like a big blender, big pole with the blades like a ceiling fan, turning the water to make sure that chemical reaction takes place. That all the suspended particles, the tiny particles, stick together with those chemicals, become big, settle out of solution. So let me take my iPad off of my tripod and turn the camera around, stick you guys through the railing so you can see how delicious that water looks. Looks like because of the overcast clouds, the overcast sky, we're seeing lots of reflection today. But on my end, I see lots of brown water, definitely browner than what it was arriving at our plant. So in this mixing area, the chemical reaction takes place, and then the water is going to flow under this wall and under this walkway and go to our settling area. And maybe this is a better shot. It's not as reflective. I think maybe you can see some of the big chunks of flock that are welling up towards the surface. And because they're heavier chunks, are going to settle down 2 stories below. Therefore, the water in this unit is going to be clarified or cleaner towards, and we're going to skim off the cleaner water from the very tippy top of this unit. So here, let's walk along this walkway, and from the grinding gear noise from the mixer and the vibrations from that motor, I'm now hearing in my ears the roar of 1,000 waterfalls, because over here, these little troughs or weirs, these tiny teeth-like structures, are skimming off the cleanest water towards the top. You can see the water's not brown anymore. It's actually greenish, and that's because we're looking down into the depths of this clarifier about 2 to 3 feet down. And look how clear the water looks like when it's being skimmed off the top. And from here, the skimmed off water is falling down into a giant waterfall under my feet into another trough. And you can actually see there's another waterfall to the left of the camera, skimming off more water from the south side of this clarifying unit. Where does the water go to next? Well, this trough under my feet. We'll walk this way, and usually our guests who can come on this tour in person are usually screaming by now, I'm scared of heights, because that water is about 10 feet below me. And then this trough empties out into a big green pipe, and this pipe takes the clarified water down to our filters. Now, for me to get down there and show you how the coal filters work, I'm going to have to walk over there and down some stairs. So while I'm walking, I'm going to turn it back over to Janelle, and she can answer some questions while I get down to the filters. Back to you, Janelle.
Thank you so much, Daryl. I hope you have a great walk over. We've received many wonderful questions from all of you. I'm only going to answer a couple of them, but again, you could email us at any time and we'll answer your questions after the event. So Surly C asked, how long does this process take? That's a great question. Our recycled process to create this irrigation grade water actually takes anywhere between 8 to 9 hours. Again, it takes some time for us to mix the chemicals around, go through the filters and disinfect it as well. So that's the time frame for that. Johnson L asked, what happens to the flock after it's separated? That is a wonderful question as well, Johnson. We can actually repurpose that flock, and we'll show you what that sludge cake looks like in just a few moments at the end of our time here today. And our last question that I'll answer is from Jake. Is this water that comes through mostly used for gardens and parks, not for drinking? You're exactly correct, Jacob. We are not making drinking quality water here at our facility. Again, drinking water is filtered at a drinking water facility, but Daryl and I are at a recycled water facility. So we're making water that's used primarily for irrigation, basically for plants. So let's see. Let me see if we have time for one more question. And Daryl, maybe I'll hand it off to you while you're setting up, because the next question is, does that water smell?
Thanks, Janelle. Great question. Does the water smell? Well, luckily, this isn't a wastewater treatment facility, because all that water has all the wastewater coming from our sinks and our toilets. It's like, that's a place that really smells. Since the water has already been treated over there, the water that we're receiving is much cleaner. So it really doesn't have a very strong smell. Sort of smells like maybe fresh dirt, and that's primarily from the chemicals that we're adding to the water. So it's not excessively stinky over here. So here is a filter. Looks like a giant swimming pool, huh? The valve or the pipe is open in the far corner, so you can see all the water flowing into this unit. And on top of the water, you can actually see lots of foam. And some of the foam is a very delicious brown color, huh? The foam is coming from all the soaps and shampoos and dish detergents from its first use in the city of Los Angeles, because that's where we're getting this treated wastewater from. And so the soaps don't get removed at the wastewater treatment plant. We have to deal with that here. And the brown color to this foam is coming from the ferric chloride that we added up above. So some of that chemical has sneaked down here below. A filter is basically 12 feet deep of water, and the bottom 4 feet is a 4-foot layer of anthracite coal, little tiny black rocks, held up by a wire mesh floor. And all we're doing is relying on gravity to let that water, all this water, drain through that coal filter to filter out any large particles that may have snuck down here from above. And then that water comes out, and then we have to disinfect the water in case any microorganisms snuck through the coal. And I'll let Janelle talk further about that. So back to you, Janelle.
Thank you, Daryl, for showing us through the facility. Now, he wasn't able to show us what that anthracite coal looks like, so I have a sample for all of you. These tiny, shiny black rocks is what we use to filter the water through. Of course, the water can easily pass through our layer of coal, but the flock, as I showed you earlier, was larger and heavier, so it gets stuck in the coal. After filtration, we mix the water with chlorine, similar to your swimming pools, for disinfection, and this is how clean that water looks like. Crystal clear. Again, this water is not meant for drinking. So everywhere you see recycled water being used, you'll see the color purple, similar to this purple sign right over here. This water is used mostly to water grass and plants throughout our communities, as you'll see through this beautiful picture of some grass and sprinklers. But some notable customers that you might be familiar with include the SoFi Stadium out in Inglewood. They use our recycled water in their lake and campus, as well as the Dignity Health Sports Park right over here in Carson, actually. They were the first sports facility in the nation to start using recycled water. So we regularly clean our equipment, and all of the sludge we remove from the settling zone and coal goes through a dewatering process and turns into this. So this is what happens to that flock that we removed. Let me angle it so you can get a better idea of what this sludge cake looks like. So this is a combination of the suspended solids that we removed as well as the chemicals that we added. And this stuff doesn't go to waste. It can be used as construction fill or as fertilizer. And this is also what we prevent from going out into the ocean, therefore protecting the wonderful marine life out at the Roundhouse Aquarium that Juan will be showing us in the next session in our time today. So that actually concludes the tour of West Basin's water recycling facility, but we do offer free public and school tours. So be sure to check our website to join more. Enjoy the rest of your STEAM adventure, my friends.